Walkie watching events for us. So, Martha, lots of speculation about who his running mate was going to be. Now we know.
Yeah, the coronation of Donald Trump as the Republican Party's nominee is underway behind me. I have to say, the mood in this room is buoyant. There is a feeling of inevitability. They think that the political movement is with them at the moment. And now we have this big news that Donald Trump has selected his running mate from a presumed shortlist of 3 men. We think, or we know, that he has now picked JD Vance, the senator for Ohio, a 39-year-old, a relative political newcomer, as his running mate. I'll just read you what Donald Trump wrote on his social media account, Truth Social. He wrote, "After lengthy deliberation and thought and considering the tremendous talents of many others, I have decided that the person best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator JD Vance of the great state of Ohio. JD honorably served our country in the Marine Corps, graduated from the Ohio State University in 2 years, and is a Yale Law School graduate, where he was editor of the Yale Law Journal and president of the Yale Law Veterans Association. JD's book, Hillbilly Elegy, became a major bestseller and movie as it championed the hardworking men and women of our country. JD has had a very successful business career in technology and finance, and now, during the campaign, will be strongly focused on the people he's fought so brilliantly for, the American workers and farmers in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Minnesota, and far beyond." So there you have it, the news that Donald Trump has picked JD Vance as his running mate for the presidential election. It is JD Vance who will take the debate stage, debating against President Biden's running mate, Kamala Harris. I think what's interesting about JD Vance, he was a front runner in many minds for this position, that he has changed his tack completely on Donald Trump back in 2016, after he'd written his book, which detailed the struggles of many working class towns in America. He delivered a crude assessment of the rise of Donald Trump. He called Trumpism opioids for the masses, but he has in recent years changed his thoughts, his beliefs on Donald Trump, or certainly that's what he says publicly. He now says that Donald Trump is connected to the working class man, that he understands the working class man and woman better than anyone else on the political scene. Donald Trump supported JD Vance's run for the Senate in 2022. He was a rare success for a Trump-backed candidate in the midterms in 2022. One thing, though, to note is that he's not without controversy, because just an hour after Saturday's shooting in Pennsylvania, JD Vance tweeted that it was not some isolated incident, and he seemed to suggest that President Biden's campaign was, at least in part, to blame for what we saw happen on Saturday. He wrote, "The central premise of the Biden campaign is that President Donald Trump is an authoritarian fascist who must be stopped at all costs. That rhetoric led directly to President Trump's attempted assassination." So while we have Donald Trump calling for political unity across the aisle in the wake of Saturday's shooting, the man who he has now picked as his running mate is squarely laying the blame at President Biden's door. So that is not the political unity that Donald Trump is calling for. But certainly an interesting pick in JD Vance, 39 years old, as I said, a relatively young politician for this sort of role. Perhaps Donald Trump thinks that will help him with the narrative about Joe Biden's aging, that this idea that Joe Biden may not be physically and mentally fit enough to be president for another 4 years.